So the Let's Talk we're bringing you this morning is all things the importance of the words that you speak. And quite recently, the man of God, Pastor Chris, was teaching us about the importance of the words that we speak and how we should not speak any idle words. But we're going to be bringing you different studies that actually show the detrimental effects of negative words, especially in the lives of children. So growing up, you may have heard the saying, especially if you were here in the UK, that sticks and stones may break my bones, but silly words won't harm me. And they usually said that to a lot of young people to make them strong on the inside, in the hope that they would learn that they can't be hurt by maybe bullying or if somebody calls them any names. But this is actually not the case. The man who got Pastor Chris has taught us that words are things, and he's showed us from the scriptures that the most important and most powerful tool that humans, only humans, have been given is our words. And then when you use it harshly and you use negative words, use harsh language against children, it can actually damage them for the rest of their lives. I mean, how many of you watching this morning, maybe you were younger and you remember something that your parent told you and it's literally stuck in your mind? It's because of the power that our words have. Or maybe it wasn't a parent, maybe it was a teacher. Maybe a teacher said you will never amount to anything in life, you're not smart enough. Or a carer said these things to you and it's been stuck in your mind. It is because of the importance of words. But things such as shouting and yelling at children when you're angry, and how people say it doesn't leave a scar, children easily forgive, that they'll cry in the moment, but they'll eventually move on. It's not necessarily true. You may not see the effects straight away. The only effect that you may see is them crying and sulking, but later on in life, it has now been seen that the words that you speak actually do affect a child, not even just mentally, emotionally, and socially, and even behaviorally. But parents who often shout at their children and call them things such as stupid, idiots, useless, you're a waste of space, waste of life, very negative things like that, it was actually found that it actually leaves their children, their young children, a greater risk of things such as self-harm, drug abuse, and even ending up in jail, according to some new research that has come to light. And as a result of this research, which we'll be looking at, a lot of charities and a lot of experts are saying that talking harshly to children should actually now be seen as a form of abuse because of the damage it does. But looking at the research, the authors of a new study into such behavior say that adult-to-adult perpetration of verbal abuse is characterized by shouting, yelling, making the child feel less than they are, and even verbal threats. So that is what they're referring to when they speak about how you can affect a child. And they said that these types of adult actions can be as damaging to a child's development as other currently recognized and forensically established subtypes of mistreatment, such as childhood physical and even sexual abuse. And this is what they said in their paper that was published in the journal Child Abuse and Neglect. And the particular study, they went on and they examined existing evidence on the impact of childhood verbal abuse. But a lot of people are saying, why are you comparing shouting and sexual abuse? It's a bit too massive extremes. Children that are unfortunately victims of sexual abuse, a lot of them, they've gone on, maybe they have been scarred for a while, they get the right help and they recover. So they're saying that surely the same thing can be done with children that are shouted at. And a lot of parents are also saying, with the way that we're seeing crime is increasing in the streets, a lot of young people are going into shoplifting to the point where the UK is even trying to clamp down on it. And at one point they even said, if you see somebody stealing, you can actually do a citizen's arrest. A lot of parents are saying, so if I can't shout at my child, and if it's illegal to beat my child, how exactly do you expect me to discipline my child? But the man of God, Pastor Chris, has addressed stuff like this. And he's taught us that when the Bible refers to the rod of correction, it's not necessarily hitting your child or shouting. It's with your words, but using your words in the right way. But another recent paper published, which was a UK study that was led by Professor Mark Belize and published in the BMJ Open, so that's the British Medical Journal Open. They actually looked at a representative sample of just over 20,000 and a half UK residents and found that those who had actually been verbally abused when they were younger, that's shouted at, made to feel less than what they are, were almost twice as likely, so 19.9%, as those who had not, to use drugs such as cannabis. And they also found that those who were verbally abused when they were younger were at almost double the risk of ending up in jail compared to those who haven't. So once again, they're showing that it's important, the words that you speak to a young person. And then another recent UK survey that was done, we're looking particularly at the United Kingdom here. So they did a survey of 1,000 11 to 17-year-olds, and they found that 41% of them said that adults, so adults mainly their parents, their carers, teachers, maybe even friends, adults that they were around a lot of the time, frequently used hurtful and upsetting words to blame, insult, or criticize them. That is nearly half of the survey respondents saying that an adult around them had used upsetting and hurtful words towards them. And even half, so exactly 51%, said that they had experienced such behavior weekly. So it was a thing that happened very often, not that it's once in 3 months or once in a year, every single week. And 1 in 10 of them said they came across it even daily. And you may be thinking, okay, parents go through a lot, but it doesn't mean that you actually have to take it out on your children. Children are developing at that point. They're picking up certain behaviors. Children, especially the young children, they're like a sponge. They're literally taking every single thing a parent says, even to the actions. Have you ever seen a young child maybe walk like their parent or do certain things that their parent does? It's because they learn by observation at a young age. And looking back at this survey, when they were asked, okay, about these hurtful and upsetting words that you're saying that they experienced, a lot of children cited parents telling them, you're useless, you're stupid, and you can't do anything right. And the man of God, Pastor Chris, said, when you're releasing such words, don't be shocked when your child actually ends up useless in life. Don't always speak out of your anger. Even though you're angry at your child may have misbehaved and you just want to shout. Remember the effects of your words. Words are spiritual substance. And in the realm of the spirit, there's no such thing as a joke or I didn't mean it. The Bible tells us you will have whatsoever you say. So be mindful. But on the flip side, they also asked the children to mention some very positive words that they heard or adults told them. And it was things such as, I'm proud of you, you can do it, and I believe you. And they said that this encouraged them and actually made them think that, yes, I actually can do it. But it just shows that words have this lasting effect as a child. Don't think that they grow up and they grow out of it, or the only way to discipline is by shouting at my child. It doesn't necessarily have the best effect. And there's a difference between maybe raising your voice at a child and being stern and shouting. There is a massive, massive difference. Talking to your child in a stern voice is fine. But the time you're shouting and you're yelling all sorts of negative words at them, they're going to take it in and they're actually going to think, okay, especially coming from a parent or an adult they trust, they don't think that that adult will lie to them. They'll believe what that person says and they'll be like, okay, maybe I actually can't amount to anything in life. And remember, children are the future. And yes, you may be saying, but it's my child. I can raise my child however I want. I can speak to my child however I want. Yes, you do have a right to train your child however, but think of the effects that it would have in the long run. There's many different ways of correcting a child. It doesn't have to be by screaming. It doesn't have to be by you releasing certain words that you know is going to hurt them. Never let your aim be to hurt. Let it be correction from a place of love. Correction can be done without screaming. And when it comes to the minds of children, especially with what they're going through, there's so much indoctrination going on. Their house, their home should be a safe space, not a place where they feel like they're constantly being yelling at. And we're seeing a lot of young children now, we're seeing that rather than their minds being built, it's being repaired because of the different things that they're having. But make sure, because of you and your words, that you're building a child's mind in the right way with the right words. And parents in particular, maybe you're a parent or you know a young child, start training yourself that even if I'm angry, I'm annoyed, calm down. And then speak to the child. Understand what you're about to do. Understand the long-term effect of what you're doing. And the man of God, Pastor, spoke to us recently about the importance of not speaking idle words, because you will actually give account for every single word you say. And it's not what you say in the church, what you say to other adults, even what you say to children as well. But we're going to bring you a brief snippet of when the man of God, Pastor, was expanding on this, saying make sure you do not speak any idle words at all. So listen to this.
We are not supposed to speak idle words. Idle words are meaningless words. Words that are powerless, that are ineffective. So you're not supposed to speak useless words. For those of you who like joking, all the time you are joking. All the time. You're not serious. All the time. Your life almost turns out to be a joke. We don't know when you are serious. We don't know when you are joking. It's not okay to speak idle words, meaningless words. So after speaking them, you say, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. You didn't mean that? Then what do you mean? When do you mean what you mean? You're speaking idle words. The Bible says you shall give account of your idle words. Look at it. It's here. For I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Period.
Say what? Don't say a lot of idle words where you're just shouting and you're saying, oh, you now come back later and be like, I didn't mean it. It's too late. You've already released it. The word of God says you would have whatsoever you say. And think about the minds of children that they honestly, I mean, children are raised. They're programmed to think, okay, whatever I'm told is true. They have that innocent sense of mind. But from birth, children are actually programmed to know that their most important responsibility around them is on the adults. And that is why they would trust their mom, their dad, whoever they have around them as a carer, and learn for them ultimately for survival. That's where they learn how to speak, how to behave. So imagine you're training your child to this, or you shout at the young person all the time. Anytime you're annoyed, you just burst out. This burst of anger comes out. The child is taking that in. And as I said, you may not see it now, but they may see it later in life. I mean, you've heard different instances of where a young person, they were abused. So they think, okay, if my parents did it, surely it was not wrong. So they grow up to start taking out that same verbal abuse on their partners, their children, all of those around them, their peers, even at teachers in school. So it's very important about how you communicate and use the right words, even in the fit of anger or annoyance. You actually shouldn't be getting angry anyway. It's not one of the fruits of the spirit. But even if you get annoyed, you've been provoked. There's ways of correcting the right way, and make sure you say what you mean. Don't act out what you mean. Don't just say anything in a fit of anger, because remember, children soak up what they are told without question, and it becomes part of their view of life. If you tell them, oh, you're useless, you're just always getting people angry, that is how they'll grow up thinking. And that child will then unfortunately become a menace to society. They'll feel that they're inadequate. And that is how the experts are now saying it can lead to stuff as self-harm. They can feel depressed that, okay, my parents say maybe I'm a mistake, I'm not meant to be here. And you don't want children growing up feeling that way. You want children to be raised to be bold and to be strong and to be confident in who they are, to be confident in who God has made them. And you do that through your words. And how do you know the right words to speak? Go for the Rhapsody of Realities. Go for the Past Chris Digital Library. Make sure that you make the right confessions over the life of your children, over the life of your young ones, and think about life in the long run. Even to adults, be mindful of how you speak. Words are spiritual substances. Once they've been released, I remember the man of God, Pastor Chris, was teaching once that words are sound codes. Once you've said something for a very, very long time, and it comes to pass, the only way you can reverse those words is by speaking new words. So rather than getting to that point where something negative has happened and you're thinking, how do I reverse it? Now I have to spend all that time speaking the right words again. Just start speaking the right words from the beginning. It's not too late to change, regardless of your age. You can always reprogram your mind, reprogram your words, and reprogram your character by saying, I'm going to speak the right words. My words are going to uplift. They're going to bring grace to people. People would love to hear from me, even if they have annoyed me. Always respond in love. And that is how we're bringing you this Let's Talk this morning. The importance of your words, not even when it just comes to your confession and your life, but also in the lives of young people who are the future.